Cassidy?
Thank you both. Again, I'll echo what Senator Scott said. Thank you both for what you are doing. Mr. Bartram, nice to see you again. I don't really know if I have a question for you except kind of a plea. My office every now and then starts digging into some of the things that is spent by different federal agencies, and you're always a little bit shocked. NIH funding studies of folks in China to get their attitudes regarding sexuality sort of thing. Nothing to do with the U.S. nation, and we're spending money there, and you have no culpability for this, and I think they've now finished that sort of activity. But unless somebody in Congress had dug into it, we'd probably still have that activity. And so oftentimes it seems like federal agencies and HHS is a black box. And I'm not trying to bust them. I'm just trying to bring value for the U.S. taxpayer. Don't have to comment on that, but just as we look forward to working with you, that would be kind of, hopefully in collaboration, we can seek the best bang for the taxpayer buck, if that makes sense.
Senator, I'd be happy to work with you, and furthermore, happy to talk to you about some of the ideas we talked about when I met with you in your office. And so I look forward, if I'm confirmed, to meeting with you and looking into these issues.
That'll be great. It's too soon for me to speak about it, but I'm digging into some NIH assets which seem to be underutilized and yet of significant expense. So if it's underutilized, do we still need it? Or can you pare back the expense, that sort of thing? So just to kind of tip a hand about future conversations. Ma'am, I'm intrigued by some of the work you've done. One thing my staff showed to me, this kind of multi-generational approach to poverty, which just makes total sense to me. If you don't address more than one generation at once, you may not be successful. Can you just comment on y'all's efforts there and give us some insights as to that?
Yes, Senator. Thank you. The effort to work with families through my United States probation and parole experience and then working in this agency is I've seen that we have placed individuals into programs, they've gotten healthy, and then we place them back into dysfunctional homes. And the other issue that I saw so much is from listening to the families is that as they are placed back into the homes, we didn't create a safety net to help them be successful for the long term. So the generational approach, while you're working with a child, a mother, a father, a grandmother, in my program I have a 73-year-old great-grandfather raising his kids, matters. And while all are getting healthy together, and then we bring in their neighbors, and many of you know this as 2Gen or whole family, but as we work on the whole picture at the same time, it saves money, and it also ensures a bigger success when government gets out of the picture.
Well, just to recall, former Senator Franken once spoke of going to a drug rehab for adolescents on an Indian reservation, and the kids were all bummed out. And then he discovered that that's because they knew they were returning to a dysfunctional home life, which would be thwarting their attempt to remain out of drug abuse. So if you can, now it seems pretty daunting though. You're speaking about not just a child and a parent, but you're speaking about a whole family and then a whole community. And that would enter into crime, education, built infrastructure, et cetera, schooling. Thoughts?
Yes, sir. Once we break down the turf and the silos around who does what professionally, everybody has the same end goal of success for the human beings that we serve. So as we're moving on a map or a path to success with the families, not for them, they end up helping each other.
So let me ask you, I smile when you say break down the silos. Hardly seems anything's more siloed than the federal government. On the other hand, you would actually be attempting from your federal role to break down silos in local and state government, correct? Any thoughts how to do that?
My experience has been strictly relationship building. And then as we change practice, the hardest thing will be that all of the funding is siloed. The relationships and the crossover between agencies is much easier than identifying how to legally...
I have a few seconds left. We once looked at whether or not Medicaid could work with HUD to come up with housing and urban development. I guess that's two different agencies to address the problem of homelessness feeding into the problem of mental health, the lack of structure. And apparently there are grant programs out there that would do that. I'd I'm just not sure how successful, I just don't know. They may have been successfully implemented, but clearly they would want to go to scale. Well, I'm out of time, but anyway, I applaud you both. I thank you. I look forward to working with you, and thank you for the good work you've already done. I yield back.